Sony announces the PlayStation Classic, a presidential alert gets moved, the fall of Yeezy, Fortnite Rage, and a Patreon exclusive, Brett Kavanaugh is accused. Hey, I have a lot to complain about, so let's do this.
The recently canceled podcast with Dawn Fry.
Hey, how goes it? So I'm recording this in the middle of the week with hopes of getting it out to you Saturday. As Saturday, I'm going to be a little busy, and maybe just a little busy. I'm going to be attending the Army Sooners game in Stillwater. No, shit. It's not Stillwater. It's Norman, Oklahoma. Yeah, home of the Sooners, right? Yeah, I've got an uncle that went to West Point, and a lot of my family's kind of centered around Oklahoma, so there's going to be like a little get-together of my uncles, my dad, and I guess I'm going there because I'm gainfully unemployed and available to go to football games. This will be the first college football game I've attended since KU blew out Nebraska in 2007. Yeah, taking it back there. So yeah, I'm going to be a little bit busy. I'm hoping to get some good quality topics out to you guys. It's not a lot of topics, but, hoping for some quality here. Quality over quantity. But first, I want to cut in with some breaking news. So, just got this in just a moment ago. Telltale Games is closing its doors. Yeah, this story is developing as I'm saying this, cutting in here on a Friday. Most of the rest of this podcast was shot earlier, but it would appear that Telltale has laid off the majority of its staff. They're with 25 out of 250. Telltale has laid off a significant number of staff with only 25 out of 250 remaining. And that's just a skeleton crew to wrap up the final season of The Walking Dead, the game. So, fitting enough that the horse that got him here is going to be what they stuck with and now has driven them into the ground. The Walking Dead, the game, came out in seasons and crap, and then there was a disc, and I got the disc because I had like some kind of Best Buy gift card type thing, and I reviewed the game back on previous channel, and it's not good. It's a pretty mediocre game. It tells a pretty mediocre story where you are given the illusion of free choice. You have muddy, ink-blotty effects, visuals. It's not good to look at. But I played some other stuff that I praised that has less gameplay, right? Well, in some ways it had more variety. I don't like this illusion of choice. Only to be driven back to where the story wants you to go. You think it's going to fork off, but then it just merges back together. I didn't like the visuals, and frankly, Telltale Games is the Funko Pop of video games. Honestly, right out the gate, they latch on to the Walking Dead franchise at a time when it's primed to do so. Right? They get onto that, and they get Video Game of the Year at like the sycophantic Game Award show. And it's hardly even a game. It's a bad thing for anybody making real games. Because here's just somebody coming along and saying, oh, look, the property is what got you the award. So what do? Every single game they make is some kind of, hey, remember that? Well, we made it into a game, kind of, even though there's been games of it previously. Back to the Future, Jurassic Park. Something to do with Batman. You want a Batman game where you don't really get to play as Batman? Well, we got the answer for you. Screw Arkham City over there, Arkham Knight. Forget that. We've got our version. You want to see Batman with thick black outlines? We got you covered. It's a good thing that Telltale Games is going under. Telltale Games harmed the video game industry. Because now you're looking at your fancy PlayStation 4 Pro, your Xbox One X, and you're playing games that could have just been something over on Android. That could have just been something you clicked and dragged over from the iPhone. Hardly any actual gameplay. An engrossing story, not so much. This illusion of choice. This isn't the way gaming needed to go. We need more innovative content and not simply, oh, hey, The Walking Dead's popular, let's make that game of the year. Late last night, news came in at about 1 a.m. my time, so Sony must have been thinking, announce this in Japan and just let the rest of the world know about it, but the Sony PlayStation Classic is coming to stores worldwide, retailers, whatever, you order on Amazon, whatnot, December 3rd of this year. Only a few months away. And it will have with it 2 controllers, no AC adapter, but it's going to be USB powered, mini system, as is the norm now. You know, we duplicate the original console, make it smaller. You know, that original PlayStation is pretty damn small to start with. I mean, you may see a Dreamcast and be like, whoa, I didn't realize it was so tiny. You know, when you're looking at something like an enormous Xbox, that OG Xbox, the PlayStation 2's fairly large, especially if it's not a slim. There's really never been a tiny Xbox. I think the X might be the smallest Xbox yet. But we're going to have a pint-sized PlayStation. I wonder if it's in proportion to the NES Super Nintendo Classics, that you could have your nice little ducks in a row set up. You know, may have to have some kind of switcher for all your HDMI cables, right? But you're getting 20 classic games. 4 of them are shown in their little announcement video. There's Final Fantasy VII, Ridge Racer 4, I think Wild Arms, and did somebody say Jump and Flash or something? It's a game I'm really not aware of, and yeah, that's going to make me sound dumb. The controller, for those of you with the eagle eyes, is not a DualShock. It's not a dual analog. There is no rumble. There are no dual sticks. And it's going to be $100. Now, I would think this is a bit of an issue because now you're limited to the kind of games you can put on it. There were games that really did require the sticks. It's super likely we're going to have Gran Turismo and Gran Turismo 2 on this system, and you're going to be playing a racing game without analog controls. Very, very likely. Now, does this mean it's impossible to implement? I'm not totally sure. I do know this. I have DualShock 2. That would be the Sony PlayStation 2's packed-in controller. I have a couple of those around the house. They're in pretty damn pristine condition, very much capable of still gaming. You can't take those and put them in with this. These special slots are going to be USB. However, to get a PS2 DualShock to go to USB seems to be a bit of an issue. There's some hardware and possible software issues. You're going to have to maybe run some kind of driver. There's going to be some kind of go-between. It's going to be a mess. It would have been pretty cool if you could hook up your old controllers to this. And yeah, you're thinking, okay, original PlayStation controller, sure, hook that up, right? Well, you could hook a PlayStation controller up to a PlayStation 2. Now, I'm not sure about PS3. I never had a PS3. In fact, I super doubt you could get those into a PlayStation 3 natively. But a lot of people seem to be upset about Sony's tactic here. Quite a few of the Nintendo fanboys are saying Sony's just peering over their shoulder. Oh, look, Nintendo put out the classic console. Now we can do it too. I would not say that Nintendo has ownership rights on the classic console idea. I wouldn't go there. Now, what I would tell you is, it looks to me like Sony's done this as right as they could for the console. I mean, $100, 20 games. This is cheaper than if you bought them in somebody's e-store. You got a unit you can sell later. You keep the box pristine in your collector, and now you have something to put on the shelf. You have all of that going for you guys. This is a better deal than buying some license rights to something in an eShop. Okay? That said, what's stopping backwards compatibility on the PS4? A lot of these PS4 fanboys are crying that, hey, we were promised PlayStation 1 backwards compatibility. You guys just stalled on that. And now this is your solution. Make us pay for some backwards compatibility. It seems to be where people are going with this. Now, I would conjecture that if they would, at a later date, add these titles to their store so you could play them on your PS4 Pro, what's the loss there for Sony? People might even buy them twice. They'll buy the classic unit and then, well, I do want to play it on my PS4 in another house, room, whatever. Boom, just download that. You'd be surprised at how easily exploited gaming fans are. I mean, hell, this is an industry where everybody's clamoring over a Resident Evil 2 reboot. You can't tell me that re-releasing something isn't going to make you money. Look, it's already programmed. It's done. It's in the books. Just put it out there. People will buy that shit. If they don't, what do you got to lose? Some people bought it, right? I think I see some potential here. You see, as my Super Nintendo Classic, I'm trying to run some PlayStation games. I'm missing at least 2 controllers. I don't think... Now, I never actually used the original DualShock controller, the Do Analog, so I don't know if those have what's called the L3, R3 buttons, depressing on the sticks, as the PlayStation 2 does. But I'm missing some buttons on the shoulder, because the Super Nintendo has a left and right, not a left 1, left 2. It can't do that. So I'm having some hindrance with some games. Some effects aren't working out right. A lot of the games are not up converting to HD correctly. So this could be the perfect solution for that. All of these games are going to run smooth in up converted to be it 720p or 1080p, whichever it is, in the case of the PlayStation Classic's output through HDMI. So this actually could be a great way to play some PlayStation games home brew hack style. There are going to be ways to upload some more stuff to this. If it works similar to Nintendo's offering, you could probably sideload in your OTG USB connector, bam, drop a whole lot of ROMs, and now you've got yourself a PlayStation machine. And while you're at it, why not Saturn? That could be a possibility. This is probably a more kitted out, heavier duty, better processing unit than what's in the Super Nintendo Classic. Surely, because the SNES Classic is not running PlayStation games as smoothly as this most assuredly will. So that's got to be the case here. Does that open the door for more things you could emulate, huh? Maybe you could get some of those Sega Model 2 games going, arcade style. Maybe you can even go Naomi, Atomis Wave, Dreamcast. I mean, these are things that are quite possible. And if Sony sneakily kind of sort of allows you to do that easily, hey, we didn't program it for this, but just in case you wanna, make this into some kind of retro pie killer. Wouldn't that make this quite the hot unit? As much as I'm seeing a tepid response for this. I feel like this is going to be a sold out, hard to come by, tough to get Christmas gift, because Nintendo doesn't have a classic console this year. They reissued the NES console, so that's 2 years back. You damn sure couldn't find a Super Nintendo. And now you got this PlayStation out there. Sega's got their ass. I don't know where it's at. I mean, they're working on something with @Games again. No one's interested in that if they know of the history of the poor emulation before and the shoddy craftsmanship and how everything felt cheap last time. So why give a shit this next go around? And how many go arounds are they going to get? This is the reality here. It looks like a good move for Sony, who can't do anything well outside of PlayStation. Oh, hey, we're holding on to the Spider-Man property. I guess we need to make a Spider-Man game PlayStation 4 exclusive. Hey, we want to dipping our toes into this cable cutter business. Let's call it PlayStation View. And there's no reason to slap the PlayStation. We can call it Sony View. There you go. Oh, but Sony is almost a bad brand. People are saying PlayStation like it's the company. The PlayStation family is the thing keeping Sony afloat here. They couldn't really keep pace with the Vaio computers, had to sell them off. The Walkman decimated. Eventually it would happen. Along comes the iPod. They have nothing in phones. Samsung's whipping their ass and everything else. I'm sure Sony probably still makes some TVs here and there. But they just lagged behind, and now they're holding on to the one thing they've got. Is the Sony PlayStation Classic a sad testament to the old days? Hey, remember when we had a console that sold 100 million units? Remember that, guys? It was the first one to do that. PlayStation 2 Classic has got to be around the corner. I wouldn't be surprised if it's next year. Because what's going to happen when all the console gamers become PC gamers? They're not going to have any reason to have a PS4. Hell, the PS4 is lucky enough right now that it has actual exclusives. Every other day, I'm seeing some kind of commercial for something that's a PS4 exclusive. I'm just thinking, oh, there's a game commercial. Guess I won't be playing that on Xbox One because it's not going to be available. Outside of maybe a Forza ad, there just isn't anything going for Xbox exclusively. Hell, that last Tomb Raider got to sit around on the Xbox One for like 6 months before it hit PS4. New ad right now, it's available same day with both consoles. Oh, and Windows. The Windows is where things are going. Everybody is getting migrated over to computer. And Sony's exclusives, their bits of nostalgia, Nintendo's properties, these are the things begrudgingly stopping this. And the weird thing about this is that it doesn't really seem to be Microsoft's effort to make everybody into a PC gamer. It's the culture. We have to watch the Twitch streamers, and the best Twitch setups are going to be through the computer. You don't have the same tools and effects and external audio setups and everything else you could want when you're doing it on console. If you did, that could be, something of a feather in the hat of the console gamer to stop this migration to the PC. It doesn't look like that's going to be happening, though. So another thing I want to talk about is this presidential alert. You heard about this? This emergency alert system test type thing. So this is something that your phone carrier is going to require you to have. They talked about this during the election. The media, this was actually something I think Obama had access to, but the media wanted to use this against Trump. As I take a swig of Mountain Dew. You don't like his tweeting? You think he tweets nonsense? Yeah, well, here's the scary thing. He can force you to hear a message. He can issue a presidential alert. If you elect him president, you're going to have to see his tweets on your phone. You don't have a choice. So vote for Hillary. That was their message. Well, has Donald abused his power? Surprisingly not. Shockingly enough. Well, anyways, they were going to test this system, and that has been moved back to October 3rd because a bunch of leftists want to back out. They want to find a way to opt out of this, and there may not be a way. Your carrier may force you to receive such alerts. I think there's a way to turn off your Amber Alerts, your flood alerts. I get them. Hell, I was driving down a highway in Wyoming. It was windy as all shit, and it was fairly warm, and there was no rain at all, and I got a blazingly loud flash flood alert on my phone as something to do with Kansas. And by the way, my house cannot flood. It would take a flood of biblical proportions to flood my house because it's perfectly situated on a hill that is not going to have any kind of effect from a mudslide, yet it sits higher than the roof of a nearby Walmart. I'm good. So, do you want to opt out of the presidential alerts? I mean, if this is... I want to see how hilariously these are written. You know, like he has this message the other day. It was like, what was it? It was like, was this a September 11th tweet? It was something to the tune of, God bless America, bless everyone, even the haters and the losers. It was just like, what? Could this guy get any more petty? I do kind of like the way he rubs it in the face of the libs, but, be a little more classier about it. Don't just say people. He's a special guy, special people. Man, it's a little bit too much for me. I don't think we need the presidential alert in case there are nukes coming. Let's try to refrain from it until that case, all right? All right, moving along here. I see that I'm kind of recording some of these on different days here. We had a lot of products come out on this day, and one of them, new Yeezy shoes. Yeah, this is Kanye West's collaboration with Adidas apparel. He's made some sneakers. These first came out, and what was it? He had like a little boot thing. Then the ones that really set this off were the 350. That's like the low top sneaker in turtle dove colorway. So it was like this nice like sand granite type color, and you got the Ultra Boost midsole, and it's supposed to be a comfortable shoe. They were like $350 that is, for those of you not in on the street terms. And they were being hawked over on eBay, going up to like, over $1,000, $2,000, what have you. Yeah, they were getting to be a pretty hot item. And for a while there, it looked like Kanye thought that he had surpassed Michael Jordan as the voice in sneakers. You know, the guy with the style, the big name in the sneaker game. Well, there were some problems. There was a lack of availability. The hype was increasing. Kids were getting jumped on the street to have their Yeezys taken. And Kanye had said that eventually, everybody who wants a pair of Yeezy is going to be able to get a pair of Yeezy. The price is going to come down. Well, the prices have kind of come down some. I've looked at some of these before about a year ago, and I think they were $220 then, and they're $220 today. In fact, on Yeezy Supply, this is the website set up where you buy them. This is the manufacturer. This is not some counterfeit. Some of this counterfeit stuff, they're calling it like authentic reproduction. Like, get over yourself, right? So they've said they're going to have a big release today. And by big release, we're talking quantity. 1 million pairs. That is the figure that has been going around. This colorway released today, the 350 in triple white. This is the version 2 350, so it's not all this prime knit material where, well, maybe it is, but it changes up some of the knitting, so there's some finer knitting elsewhere in parts, and there's a bit of a streak type stripe pattern going through. but it's all white. And then you get some like kind of off beige outer sole type things going on. They look a little bit like the shoes that Kramer had in Seinfeld that were going to make him jump higher. It was like, I think they were calling them like moon shoes. But then some people saw him on the street and thought he needed them to help him walk because what word do we use nowadays? Slow. Yeah. Yeah. So I don't think these would fit my style, honestly. But I was able to get them in my cart. The first time I was able to get Yeezy in my cart and I didn't pull the trigger. Not just because I don't have $220 to spend on shoes, but because there's something missing. When special rare shoes are now obtainable to everybody, it doesn't seem that special. It seems like you're paying still quite a bit of money for something assembled through cheap labor, though I'm assuming it's a fine shoe that's comfortable and will hold up well and all that shit, right? And I know that if you buy one on eBay, it's probably an authentic reproduction, right? And then when you say, hey, these are fake, well, what'd you expect at this price of $500? You ain't getting real ones. Like, come on. So I could have gotten them for $220. I don't think this is going to be a hot item that I could, sell on eBay and get my money in for my PlayStation Classic. I don't think that's going to happen. I think that you're looking at a new coat of paint on an old car model. Just an old car. Hey, no, it's a 2018, seriously. Well, it doesn't have the latest CarPlay features and Android, all that. But, it's got a touchscreen. That's how this feels. I think they put out too many different colors. They got basically the same shoe with too many different colors. Maybe there's something to be said for the way Air Jordans go. How there's a new one every year. And then the best ones, they bring those back every once in a while in maybe a new and exciting color. And that's that. But you want to have this is the shoe in its original color. Instead of this every few months, let's add another color to it and make a whole lot of money. Something doesn't seem right here, and I think that Kanye's reign is coming to an end. At one point, I believe it was a year ago, I was reading this somewhere online. I don't like to cite sources because sources are for them assholes over at CNN, right? Yeah, it's an anonymous source, right? Well, this site had said that the Yeezy brand was number 2 in fashion, and now it's dropped out of the top 10 in 2018. So it went from number 2 to the next year out of the top 10. Now, whose idea of fashion is this? Is it sales volume? What is it? I don't know. Are they not charging enough? I saw another story yesterday saying that there was some fashion brand, $500 sneakers that have tape on them, and it seems to be taking advantage of poverty. Oh, it's some kind of weird glorifying mocking of poverty. Hey, you millennials, you want to walk around with torn up jeans? Well, you're going to need some taped shoes to go along with it, right? Yeah, this is kind of messed up stuff. I kind of think that the Yeezy's over, man. You don't buy a car that's long in the tooth with its styling and think that it's really keeping up. In other weird shit, this guy, Michael Alaperty, hopefully I'm pronouncing this wrong, 45 years old, from Long Island, gets arrested. What for, you may ask? Well, he threatened to murder an 11-year-old who beat him in Fortnite. Now I have to wonder, what platform is a 45-year-old who looks like this guy playing on? Probably not console, probably not Samsung phone, probably PC. So a kid beat him at Fortnite. How were they communicating? Like, I haven't played this on PC. Do you type messages to everybody at once? And the kid's bragging maybe after the game, and the guy's so angry he's rage typing threats to him. Is this how this is going down here? Because I don't think you can up and communicate. I could be wrong. I don't think they're natively in the game is everybody in basically the same party chat talking it up with each other with 100 voices screaming over each other. Now, he even goes further to say that he's going to find his school and shoot him. Now, you don't really want to mention these kind of things. In fact, so much as... shoot. I'm probably better off saying shit at this point. I mean, the word shoot just triggers YouTube's CensorBot 5000. Now I'm probably demonetized on this video, damn it. But that's how serious these threats go down. The police get reported, all this stuff, FBI comes in, whatever. He gets arrested. I think he has some kind of restraining order against him from the kid, and it was like $2,500 bail. I don't think they're taking it too seriously, aside from when he brought the school into it. Because the internet is a living death threat. But when he makes it death threats in a public location, bystanders, these kind of things add to it. Like, oh, look, it's not just an empty death threat. He seems to be coming up with a plan. Yeah, a plan. That's how it is. When these kind of things add up, yeah, there's going to be some action taken. Are we going to see more headlines like this? Probably. Because people who play games, I'm one of them, I know the psyche of the gamer. If you sit in front of the TV and you vicariously live through the characters, you get angry over things that are not real, but they're experiences that happen to you when you connect to them, and maybe others don't see it the same way. Yeah, you could get to the point where human life becomes less valuable and you're willing to act out on that anger. Take it into the real world with maybe some of the training you got in the video games, right? So that's going to do it for the free version of the recently canceled podcast. This week, I'm going to be heading out to watch some football. I guess you'll be hearing about my experience of that soon. If you want to see the last topic, or rather just listen to it, go ahead, check out my Patreon. $1 a month. It gets you full access. Unlock all that content too spicy for YouTube. Patreon.com/VonFry.